Lucas Nation fans and K.L.P worldwide fans. It's your boy K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. We're back for another exciting Lucas Chat podcast with you guys here. Now, we're in the studio of Swanky Studios, and we have a lot to talk about. We really do have a lot to talk about on this podcast show. That's why we're recording in a different system so we can have a more time-lapse expansion because there's just so much that we're going to talk about that we're probably going to go over the 15-minute mark. I try to keep the shows within 15 minutes here on Spotify and iTunes, but today will be a special kind of day because it's different. Lucas Nation and K.L.P Worldwide fans, before we get on to this news announcement stuff, I just want to thank you guys for listening to us right now, either iTunes or Spotify or Google Podcasts. We're out there and we're getting a lot of good views. We looked at our stats earlier this morning in the office, and a lot of people, we have a lot of hits. We have over 500 plays within both iTunes and Spotify. So it tells me something. It tells me that you guys really do enjoy the show and you really do like what we got going on. And I'm proud to be doing something like this for you guys here in Swanky Studios for Lucas Chat podcast. So happy weekend, y'all. I am okay. Last night I took over Midtown with some friends, and we drunk and we went clubbing. So that it was a fun night to be with that last night. So I knew I had to get up, not early this morning, but I had to get up, cook breakfast, get ready for my day, and then pop into the studio so I can do some recording here before we get on to other works and other things we got to do for you guys out there. So we're back here at Lucas Chat Podcast. Now, this is kind of going to be a startup for the E3 2019 address. What I'm going to do for this podcast is I'm going to break it down to the top games that I think is going to be the highly anticipated games for E3. So, let's get on with it. Of course, a lot of things are going on with the E3. We had a lot of good games that come out, and then we also had a lot of okay games, And then I will tell you at the end of the podcast who really won, in my book, who won E3. So Xbox, of course, Xbox surprised us with a lot more than I anticipated. Of course, Cyberpunk 2077, that game's coming out very, very soon. You had Keanu Reeves to come on screen and come on the show and talk about the game because he's in the game. So he's been trending this past, after E3, I think the past, 3 weeks, he's been trending all over social media. So I guess it's really cool. We knew him from John Wick, but he didn't really get the high exposure from John Wick. I heard John Wick Chapter 3 was good. So he's in the game, and he's been trending. Like there's memes about him. He's all over the internet right now. He's hot right now. So it's interesting to see how that goes when you're in a good game. Now this game is a highly anticipated video game to come out, so I can see why he's trending. I can see why people are really looking forward to this game. This year's 2019 E3 wasn't too bad though. Like there's a lot of games that I'm gonna add onto my list that I'm very excited about. Cyberpunk 2077, that might be something I might be interested in. Nintendo did release at the end of their E3 the sequel of a Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. So that's really fun. That's really fun. I don't have a Switch. I don't really think I'll anticipate getting a Switch because I'm more of a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One player. I have both. So I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to get a Nintendo Switch. I don't think it really appeals to me that much. I'm more of I'm not going to say a big boy game player, but, I like to, I'll have my own style. Then you got Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order. That game actually does look fun. That game's coming out this year, November 15th, 2019. So we don't have to wait too long for that game. I think that game's going to be really fun. I might cop that one as well. Death Stranded, I don't care about the game. That game looks weird as fuck. I'm sorry. I just think that game is weird. That's just me. That's my opinion. Most people are going to like it. Some people think it's going to be fun. But not for me. Sorry. You got Crossfire X. I heard this was a game that was already in existence and they remade it. So That game looks fun from Xbox. It doesn't look too bad. It really does not look too bad for what we want to do for it for that game. Project Scarlet was announced, the next Xbox One console. Now, let me know what you guys think about that. I think that's going to be exciting. I wonder what the style is going to look like. I wonder how they're going to see what they're going to do with it. I think it's going to be a lit console. Hopefully, they didn't change too much. Simply to the fact of if they change too much from the original, then folks got to go and buy a new system when the Xbox One X came out not too long ago. So now they have to go out and get something like that. So Project Scarlet was announced. I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like. What they're gonna make it look like. You got Gears 5. Gears 5, y'all. Shout out to Gears 5 though, for real. Simply to the fact because they're still sticking with a game series that is very known, very well known, very popular. And I like the music trailer, the song that they used for the trailer at E3. If you guys don't know, I actually used that song for my new film, Bayview Lodge, if you didn't pick up on it. So, because that song was, when I saw E3 was still going on, and I saw Xbox E3, and then I saw Gears 5 trailer. And at the time, we were just wrapping up Bayview Lodge's film shoot, and we were thinking about what kind of music we want to use for the trailer release. So we heard that song at E3, and then K.L.P. Entertainment, we were like, okay, yeah, that's the song we could use for this trailer, because it's kind of an edgier tone for the music, so why don't we use this? So we ended up using that for the trailer, and got a lot of good hits, got a lot of good views, and you guys ready for that movie to come out. So I can't wait to release it for you guys. So Gears 5 is going to be really good. Again, it's Gears. Every Gear game was excellent, in my opinion. I think Gears 4, when that game came out, that game was really good. It was very interesting. So I'm wondering what Gears 5 is going to do. I wonder what they're going to change for that. You got Wolfenstein, Youngblood. I love Wolfenstein though. Wolfenstein games are epic. They scare the crap out of you sometimes because they got like the pop-up scenes in some of the games. Um, but I actually do enjoy. I enjoyed Wolfenstein, the first one. I have the first one. I don't have the second one, but I do have the first one. Um, that game is really fun. Honestly, it's epic. It's a lot of things that goes uh, that goes into that game. It's really interesting to see that game's still prevailing because that game is really fun. Of course, you got what else you got? You got a Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy. I think it was damn 7. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy 7, the remake. They're calling it back, and that's what they said at E3. Like they appreciate the time. We just need more time for it to grow out and really finish the game. So a lot of fans are anticipating that. They got a lot of good things coming out for that, and I think Final Fantasy 14 will get a remaster remake. So that's coming way later, but you got that to come for sure. Ubisoft's E3 was good. I was kind of hoping that Ubisoft would have a little bit more. I understand they wanted to branch out and they wanted to expand on Division 2, which is good. Division 2, I mean, it's a good. The Division as a whole is good. So they really wanted to bleed out in that as well. You got Just Dance 2020. It's interesting though. Um, it's interesting if you remember going back to Ubisoft's E3 press conference a couple weeks back. Now, you saw them dance on the stage and they're doing their thing, and then their banner said, "Okay, Just Dance coming in this certain time. It's coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Wii." Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I said it. Nintendo Wii, the game system from 2008. 2008. Oh my God! So it's it's interesting that they want to still prevail with that. Um, it's interesting. Honestly, it is so interesting to see that they're still trying to expand on the Wii. I don't even think people will still play the Wii. I don't know. I hope so. For Just Dance sake, I hope so. But it's coming for Wii. Of course, you got Ori. That game is, it's cute. That's all I can say about that game. That game is cute. You got the Battletoads remake. That game actually does look fine for for the new genre, new era. You got Control. That's a new game that's coming out for sure. Um, and the highlight, I would have to say, the highlight for E3. Now, I talked about this in the previous podcast show, but this spotlight, Eidos Montreal and Square Enix, they killed it. I have to say for y'all, they killed it. I honestly have to say it's a tie between Square Enix press conference, Square Enix's press conference and Xbox. I have to. It's sad to say that PlayStation doesn't come with this genre this year. Um, I don't know what PlayStation is doing. I'm sad because I have both consoles. I don't favor my PlayStation over my Xbox. I like them both equally. But I would have liked to see PlayStation have their own press conference because they roll out the exclusives. They do all the things. But in a way, you can Ubisoft and Square Enix games that's coming out at the press conference for those shows. They tie into PlayStation 4, so I guess I can see why they missed out this year. Maybe they're working on some things that they're not finished and they don't want to get the fans hyped, which I appreciate. I hate it when game companies and game developers they go out there and they're making their game and then they say, "Oh, we got this coming in 2020 or 2021, 2022." So I guess that's what they're doing. They announced last year for PlayStation, they announced a lot of good games. Days Gone was part of it, which that game is out. Death Stranding, they announced that. I just think that's a weird game. I'm sorry. That's the baby has the power. I can't rock with that game. I'm sorry. I just think it's weird. Um, and then you got Last of Us Part Two. Of course, that game is still in development, so there's no point for PlayStation to uh, use all this money and then they hype games that we already know about. We already announced it. You already know about it. So I've read on Twitter though, PlayStation is working on some games that are just going to be remakes and going to be part two of. I did hear rumor Spider-Man, the hit game Spider-Man PlayStation exclusive might get a sequel. So they're doing their thing. It's smart. We already know about the games they're working on, so there's no point into to watch the show for them, for sure. I wanted to see from Ubisoft though. I was kind of hoping to see if they would develop a new Splinter Cell game. Honestly, I think they should. They did have Splinter Cell with this mobile game at Ubisoft. It's like this little mobile game, and you play as Ubisoft characters, which it seems kind of fun, but we want to see a different Splinter Cell game. Like, Splinter Cell Blacklist was an amazing game. But, I mean, that was years ago. That was 2013. And now it's 2019. And Splinter Cell, Sam Fisher, is one of your co-characters for the company. So for you to not have his own game in 2019, it's just kind of... I think Ubisoft is missing out on that. I think they should develop Sam Fisher more and have more games for him out because everyone loves Splinter Cell. I definitely love Splinter Cell. I would have loved to see Ubisoft develop a new Splinter Cell game that's 2019 era, third person and possibly first person, tie into a new story for Splinter Cell. Maybe have the old actor meets the new actor. Maybe if I was president, I would have said, okay, someone develop a new Splinter Cell game, because it's been since 2013. Sam Fisher's been in action. It's just my take on it. That's what I think they should do. Honestly, if they want to expand on that character too, You got Snake in Super Smash Brothers, the new one for Nintendo, and Nintendo has a big partnership with Ubisoft as part of the Rabbids Mario game. Why not put Sam Fisher in Super Smash? You know, there's an idea. You know, it just gets the fans knowing that that character is still alive. I don't know. I'm just saying that character should be, still standing. But the highlight, though, back to Square Enix and Eidos Montreal. Of course, we all know about it. The new Avengers game. Everyone's talking about it. I talked about this on a previous podcast about the character development, and I'm not going to expand too much on that show on that aspect. But I honestly think Marvel and Eidos, I think they got something going here. I honestly think that the game will sell. Now, we were upset that it's coming out next year, next summer, but I guess for good things to come, you have to wait for them. So, I said this in previous shows, you got Troy Baker, you got Laura Bailey, and you got Nolan North. Three of the most iconic voice actors of all time. And I said three of the most. There's so many other voice actors that I like in terms of anime and movies, but those three highlight very high. You got Troy Baker to be, and it's interesting that Troy Baker, I believe he's playing Bruce Banner, and then you got Nolan North playing Iron Man, and they had a scene together that Eidos and Montreal showed us at the E3 press conference. They had a little short scene. I found that very interesting because if you guys remember, Troy Baker played Samuel Drake, and of course Nolan North played Nate Drake. So it's interesting. You got Sam and Nate reunited again to play different characters. I think that was cool. It was such a cool outlet. That's so cool. But I think this game is highly anticipated. I think they got something going. I honestly think they got something going with this game. A lot of people are nagging about the character development and how they look. Sometimes you have to take a different aspect. You got to take a different look at a character. They didn't change the characters up so much. They didn't. I don't think so. I think they're trying to re-diversify and rethink the character development. I think they're in a positive direction. Um, I am worried about how the game will play. That's all that matters if that game plays really well. That's kind of my whole concept. Does the game play well? We'll see that in future developments and future dates, but if the gameplay is good, who cares what the characters look like? You know? And that's what I think. I think that a lot of people should not don't judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. They gave it all their all, and you got the iconic voice actors and actors in the game. So I don't think the character development, how they look, shouldn't impact. Oh, this game's gonna suck because of the characters. That's not always the case. Now, the gameplay sucks. Then we're going Eidos and Montreal and Marvel. If you listen to the podcast, if your gameplay sucks, now that's where you're gonna have problems with fan base and gamers, because if it doesn't play well, that's gonna be a huge disappointment. That's just what I think. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the E3 press conference, man. E3 was really good, honestly. I have to say E3 was really good. E3's been good for the last 2 years. 2013 was a good year for E3. 2015 and 16 was an okay year, but 2017 on up to now, E3's been really good. It's been really, really lit. A lot of people enjoy what E3 had to bring. Well, game developers and game companies out there have to bring out there at a showcase for us gamers. One of my friends, I saw it on his Facebook. He said E3 announcements, and then a meme at the bottom saying, "Oh, my funding is down the drain." A lot of people, I wouldn't spend too much for video games. I honestly don't, but I am getting certain games that I'm anticipated about because if you work hard, you can afford it. And there's just games that are just out there that I want to collect in my collection, of course, y'all. So that's going to do it here on the podcast, Luke's Chat Podcast. We're officially 19 minutes into this podcast. So my Alexa's going off, y'all, in the office. Alexa, stop. This message comes from NPR sponsor, Indeed. You know what? We're gonna wrap up the show here today, y'all. Sorry about that. We've got Alexa going on in the back. The studio's going down. So, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see y'all in a future podcast.